the large statue of Teddy Roosevelt that stood right in front of the Natural History Museum in New York City was finally taken down. The city commission had voted for its takedown. There were some reports about it. I mentioned this at the time. But it was still a little bit of an eerie feeling for me to actually watch the statue come down. Here's a glimpse of this. Take a look. So there it is. This, by the way, the video is from Scootercaster. So it's at Scootercaster NY. I want to give credit for people. So it's work to take these videos, and very often they get widely shared on social media without credit. Now, what was really objectionable about the statue? Well, apparently, for the leftists who caused this protest in the first place, and let's remember, all of this occurred in the wake of George Floyd. This is the kind of ugly aftermath of George Floyd. Let's pull down all the statues. Teddy Roosevelt, what does he have to do with George Floyd? Nothing. But they look at the statue and they go, wait a minute, here's Teddy Roosevelt, and he's sort of prominently with sort of head raised, and you've got these two American Indians who seem to be kind of crouched in what seems to be a subordinate position. So they take the statue as symbolizing racism. Roosevelt is calling the shots. The two Indians are bowing to him. But no, if you look at the statue more closely, you see what's going on is that the statue actually predates Teddy Roosevelt's days as president. It's from his early days, and he's with two Indian trackers. Now, since these Indians are trackers, what are they doing? Looking down at what? Tracks. And Roosevelt, of course, is following their lead. So far from this being a depiction of Indian subordination, it shows something really quite different. By the way, if you want to read about Teddy Roosevelt, pick up Edmund Morris's book. I think it's called The Rise of Teddy Roosevelt. Edmund Morris, by the way, is the guy who later wrote a terrible biography of Reagan. He misunderstood Reagan. He never got Reagan. I understand Reagan picked him to write the biography because Reagan liked Morris's book on Teddy Roosevelt. And Reagan probably thought, well, listen, I'm like Teddy. I'm a Republican. He was a Republican. He rode a horse. I ride a horse. But, Teddy Roosevelt was an aristocrat. He was a very cultured man. Reagan was a middle-class guy who became an actor. So I think for some reason, Morris never got Reagan. But he did get Teddy Roosevelt. He captured Teddy Roosevelt. And he makes the point in his biography that Teddy Roosevelt, although a progressive, in some ways like Woodrow Wilson, and although somebody who broke from the Republican Party and ran on a progressive, what was called a bull moose ticket. In 1912, the Republican vote was split between Taft and Teddy Roosevelt. This is what gave Woodrow Wilson the presidency. Nevertheless, Teddy Roosevelt was a different kind of progressive. And it seems funny here because we're talking about racism. Progressivism and racism were hand in hand. This is the point. And the point I'm trying to make is that Teddy Roosevelt was much milder in his progressivism. So in other words, Woodrow Wilson was an open segregationist. He restored segregation to the government. He was an out-and-out racist. Teddy Roosevelt succumbed to some ideas of social Darwinism. He used sometimes the language of the superior races will prevail. It was sort of Darwinist language adapted, if you will, to politics. But Teddy Roosevelt was not, they'll even talk about survival of the fittest, but Teddy Roosevelt was not a eugenicist. He was a family guy and a pro-family guy. And I think this really gets to the heart of what is objectionable about Teddy Roosevelt. He was a patriot. He was pro-American. He was pro-family. He was a Christian. He believed in the superiority of Western civilization. And this was his real sin from the point of the left. This is why they hate him. This is why they're really taking his statue down. So I guess what I'm saying is at the end, they do understand. It's not that they misunderstand what's going on in the statue itself, in the depiction itself. The left does understand, but they don't care because their bigger point is that Teddy Roosevelt represents the confidence, the exploring, the adventurous, and to them, the imperialistic thrust of Western civilization, a civilization that has remade the world, but that the left wants to unmake right here in America.